Coming up on today's show, days after essentially ending all remote telecommuting for Tesla staff, Elon Musk appears to be preparing Tesla for a 10% job cut and hiring freeze after saying he has a quote-unquote super bad feeling about the economy. Chevrolet slashes the price of the Chevrolet Bolt EV and Bolt EUV, making them two of the most affordable EVs you can buy in North America today, and Volkswagen uses the force to advertise the Volkswagen ID Buzz electric wagon, with a little help from R2, C-3PO, and Obi Wan Kenobi. These stories and more coming next. Welcome back to TEN, or Transport Evolved News. Thanks for tuning in and for hitting the subscribe button and the notification bell. Today's show is sponsored by the Electric Vehicle Association. Join up to support the electrification of transport and get the help you need to finance your own EV or clean energy future. And if you're in the US, don't forget to put Fully Charged Live USA in your calendars. It's taking place in San Diego on September 10th and 11th this fall, so head to fullycharged.live/US to find out more, and we all hope to see you there. Earlier this week, as we covered on the network, Elon Musk sent emails to employees at both Tesla and SpaceX, effectively ending both companies' work-from-home policy and telling non-factory staff they needed to be at their desks in the office at least 40 hours a week or be fired. It was followed early on Friday morning by news of an email sent to executives at Tesla in which Musk allegedly stated that he has a quote-unquote super bad feeling about the economy. Reuters reports that the email then goes on to state that Tesla needs to cut about 10% of its staff and execute a hiring freeze. The news comes after what's not been a particularly positive month for Tesla's share price, which at the time of recording was hovering at around $700 per share. At the time of filming this, neither Tesla nor Elon Musk have confirmed nor refuted Reuters reporting. BMW has officially unveiled its latest electric car in the form of the all-electric BMW iX1. Designed as an entry-level EV for the BMW brand, the iX1 xDrive 30, to give it its proper name, is powered by a twin-motor all-wheel drivetrain capable of 230 kilowatts peak and 494 newton-meters, 364 pound-feet of torque. BMW says the iX1 will accelerate from 0 to 100 kilometers per hour, that's 62 miles per hour, in 5.7 seconds. Based on the new BMW X1 that's due to launch this year in several combustion engined variants, BMW says the iX1 will follow on later. There's no pricing or overall specs, and we still don't know which markets it will launch in. It's worth noting that though the iX1 is underpinned by the same 5th generation EV tech we'll see in the upcoming Mini Countryman EV. As dozy world governments slowly wake up to the impending doom that anthropogenic climate change poses for the world, we're starting to see more agreements get inked to decarbonize our society. This week, the G7, that's the US, Canada, France, Germany, Italy, Japan, and the UK, made a new agreement to, quote, predominantly decarbonize electricity sectors by 2035, end quote. Now, the observant among you will notice that the word predominantly looks like it might be a bit of a loophole, but according to the statements made by the G7, its ultimate goal is to phase out domestic unabated coal power generation. The country that will have to work the hardest to make this happen is Japan, which after the Fukushima nuclear disaster in 2011 has actually shifted more power generation to coal-fired power stations than less. Nevertheless, the G7 says it will propose this new goal of reaching net zero energy emissions to the wider G20 summit when it convenes this fall. Ever since Tesla unveiled the Tesla Bot, aka Optimus Subprime, at Tesla's AI Day last summer, Elon Musk and Tesla's focus has shifted significantly, moving towards a future where Tesla is viewed not as an energy or mobility company, but as a robotics and AI company. And while some industry robotics experts have questioned the achievability of Tesla's current timeline, Elon Musk took to Twitter this week to say that Tesla will be pushing its second AI Day, aka AI Day number 2, to September 30th this year. The reason? According to Elon Musk, he's hopeful that the company will have a working prototype of Optimus by that date. It makes sense for Tesla to delay its second AI Day if that is indeed going to happen. Ultimately, Musk wants to use Optimus to perform simple and repetitive tasks that are either too boring or too dangerous for humans to do. We are super eager to see a functioning Optimus at the end of September, but we'd also be remiss to ignore the fact that Elon Musk has a tendency to underestimate exactly how long something will take to achieve. With the first Ford F-150 Lightning pickups now in the hands of eager owners, and Ford seemingly under-promising and over-delivering when it comes to delivery schedules, most customers appear to be getting their trucks weeks ahead of their promised delivery dates, we're starting to see some real-world experiences getting shared on social media. Among them, the real-world towing range of the F-150 Lightning when pulling a 23-foot Airstream trailer. Nick Schmidt, the very first retail customer to get an F-150 Lightning, headed out for a weekend trip with his family last weekend after getting his truck, and reported to the F-150 Lightning forum that the truck lost about 1/2 of its range when towing, which seems in line with what most people have been expecting. Interestingly, towing disables some Blue Cruise functionality and changes how regen braking works, but this real-world report shows that outside of media drives and internal tests at Ford, everything behaves as it should. Buick held a press briefing very early on Wednesday morning this week, at which it showcased its redesigned badge, as well as unveiling a new vehicle in the form of the Wildcat EV. Given that Buick's North American output is just SUVs, you'd be forgiven for thinking the Wildcat would be an SUV, but instead it's a sporty coupe that Buick portrayed as not a preview of a new model, but a preview of future design language for the company. It's important to note too that in China, where Buick is rather large, the brand offers a range of models, including SUVs, hatchbacks, sedans and minivans, so it's conceivable that the Wildcat is less for North American audiences and more instead for Chinese market ones. Buick says it's going all electric as a brand, and we'll see the first EV in the form of the Electra this summer, another premium SUV that Buick was cagey about the launch date for. Earlier this year, it was looking like Chevrolet and parent company GM had pretty much all but forgotten about the Chevrolet Bolt EV and Bolt EUV, focusing instead on the promised Silverado EV, Blazer EV and Equinox EV. You'd be forgiven for thinking that the Bolt and Bolt EUV would quietly be retired as the brand tried to recover from the damage the Bolt EV fires did to its reputation. But with the Bolt EV and Bolt EUV production finally restarted and Chevrolet spending big bucks on new ad campaigns for both, we were pleasantly surprised this week to learn Chevrolet's price cut for the Bolt and Bolt EUV. For the just announced 2023 model year, both cars will get somewhere around a $6,000 slash off their previous MSRP. The entry-level Bolt LT will start at $25,600 before mandatory fees. This undercuts the Nissan Leaf and makes the Bolt EV far more affordable for many new car buyers. The Bolt EUV, meanwhile, will now start from $27,200. We still think the Chevrolet Bolt EV is a cracking, no-nonsense car, and frankly, the closest thing to a European-styled hot chat available in the US today. As the electric vehicle marketplace heats up, we're starting to see more and more legacy automakers lean in to producing competitive EVs. This week, Ford took another step towards its electric transition, announcing a total $3.7 billion of investment in creating 6,200 jobs across the US. While some of the announced jobs will go into building internal combustion engine products, the majority of the money will be sent to the Rouge Electric Vehicle Center in Dearborn, Michigan to expand its production capacity to 150,000 F-150 Lightnings per year. Plus, $95 million will be sent to begin a third shift at the Kansas City facility where the e-Transit is made, and $1.5 billion will be used to establish production at what Ford said is a, quote, all-new EV commercial vehicle that will hit the roads mid-decade. While legacy auto is moving far slower than we'd like to electrify their offerings, it is good to see progress finally being made. Predicting how far an electric vehicle can go per charge is particularly complicated. You not only have to account for onboard load, driving style, weather and health of the battery, but the types of roads you're driving on too. Luckily, most automakers now seem to have pretty much nailed down fairly decent range estimates for the majority of normal roads. But what about off-road, where mud and sand, extreme elevations and constant start-stops over rocks can really impact vehicle efficiency? Well, that's where one Rivian R1T owner came in, recently trying to get a better estimate of real-world range for their R1T. Enter Rex Briggs, a data scientist who took some time off to tackle the Coyote flat off-road trail in his new R1T, recording data as he went. Travelling some 100 miles, 160 kilometres, Rex was able to calculate a real-world off-road range of around 137 miles, 220 kilometres per charge. That is far, far less than the on-road range quoted by the EPA, but hey, I know which route would be much more fun. Oh, and of course, your own mileage may and will vary. Nissan's Ariya electric SUV is a vehicle whose global launch plans has been severely impacted by COVID-19 and the subsequent automotive parts shortage. This week, we learned that more waits are on the cards, with Nissan instructing US dealers to stop taking orders for the 2023 model year Ariya. The reason? Parts supply. Nissan says it doesn't want to take massive amounts of orders for vehicles it can't easily deliver, so if you don't already have a pre-reservation, you're likely going to need to wait a fair while to get a car. That said, while we did focus on Nissan here, it isn't just a Nissan issue. Pretty much every automaker, including Tesla, have found themselves in a similar position with higher demand than parts supply. We're going to dive headlong into our short shorts in a second, but first a reminder that TE is here because of the kind donations of people just like you. Every penny we earn from YouTube ad revenue, third-party production work and support from you guys through Patreon, YouTube, Ko-fi and our swag store goes into growing our channel and paying everyone's salary. At the start of this month, we were actually able to meet everyone else's salary on just Patreon donations. But in order to rise our income to that level every month, we're going to need more people to step and pledge up. Right now, less than 0.1% of those who watch support, so if you're able and willing to help raise that, we would be very grateful. And maybe I'll be able to start paying myself. On to the short shorts. Firefighters were called to Rivian's factory in Normal, Illinois last weekend after a battery pack caught fire inside the facility. Official statements from the Normal Fire Department indicate the battery was in the company's battery testing area and had entered thermal runaway conditions. Lightyear has announced its official reveal date for the production version of the Lightyear One solar electric car. Due to take place next week via a YouTube live stream, the company says it will reveal final design specifications and detail the technology that makes it all possible. Genesis has confirmed that it will be heading to the Goodwood Festival of Speed later this month in the UK to showcase the European debut of the Genesis X Speedium coupé concept, as well as make the European debut of its GV60 EV SUV. Expect at least one of those to drive the hill climb course. Mercedes-Benz has confirmed that it's working on a brand new platform called MMA, which it will use to underpin what it says will be a new entry luxury model for the brand. The new platform will make it possible to build all new dedicated EVs rather than use the shared platform that currently underpins cars like the EQA. Swedish boat specialist Candela has unveiled what they say is the world's first hydrofoil electric water taxi, the Candela 8 Voyager. The company hopes that the craft will be a perfect fit for cities like Venice, where water taxis are currently powered by gasoline engines. After what feels like an age, Delorean unveiled the Alpha 5 EV this week, a gull-winged sports coupe EV that does the stoplight sprint in 2.99 seconds, features a 100 kilowatt-hour battery and hits 88 miles per hour in 4.35 seconds. Great Scott! Sono Motors has announced a new venture on its journey to make transportation solar-powered. It's just signed an agreement with refrigerated trailer company Shero to co-develop a solar-powered refrigerated trailer for big rigs. It will debut this September. The Wuling Hongguan Mini EV is China's most popular EV, selling more than 500,000 units in just under 2 years. But this week, a new concept variant emerged that makes the tiny runabout look like something straight out of the 1940s. Honestly, I really like it. BMW Ventures has invested in blockchain company Vendia as it looks for new ways to ensure its vehicles and their components are traceable from raw materials through to the end of life. It hopes Vendia will help it manage the massive amount of data it now creates for each car it makes. Official deliveries have begun for the Genesis GV60 electric vehicle. It's based on the eGMP platform, and the high-end Genesis GV60 is roughly comparable in specs to the Ioniq 5 and EV6, but packaged for a more discerning consumer. We'll be reviewing one later this year. Volvo has become the first automaker to sign up for the Steel Zero Initiative, a program that aims to increase demand for fossil-free steel, dramatically lowering the carbon footprint of metals used in the automotive industry. It aims for zero-emission steel sourcing by 2030. Chalmers University of Technology in Sweden says that in order to lower the carbon footprint of sea-based travel, we need to move towards hydrofoil-based electric craft. Its new study shows that in order to make electric ferries and ships efficient, craft designs need to focus on reducing drag through hydrofoil use. Polestar has unveiled a new variant of its Polestar 2 in the form of the Polestar 2 BST Edition 270. With 350 kilowatts at the wheels, the limited production special edition gets a lowered ride height, special Öhlins dampers, and track-ready characteristics. Documentary evidence, including paid invoices, shows that in 2017 through 2018, while workers were trying to organise a unionised workforce, Tesla paid a PR firm to monitor employees' social media accounts. Tesla has not responded to requests for confirmation, but the PR firm confirmed the engagement. The state of Colorado has set aside $65 million of state funds to establish a grant program for electric school buses within the state. The program has been established thanks to SB 193, a new air quality bill just signed by the state's governor. Panasonic has delivered a selection of 4680 form factor battery cells to Tesla ahead of the company beginning mass production of the same. Tesla has been courting several battery suppliers to help it build those new cells, which will underpin many of its future models. The US federal government has announced it will be slashing rent on public land by 50% for companies using said land for wind and solar energy projects. The reduced rental fees will make renewable energy even more cost-effective for utilities and consumers. Rimac has completed another funding round, this time worth €500 million, as it works to accelerate production of its Rimac Nevera and, more importantly, set itself up as a high-value Tier 1 parts supplier to clients like Aston Martin, Porsche and Koenigsegg. Toyota has announced a new product in the form of the Ouchi-Kuden system, a static battery pack designed to rival Tesla's Powerwall and other static energy products. Each unit has a capacity of 8.7 kilowatt hours and can output 5.5 kilowatts of instantaneous power. Italy has announced a new incentive program designed to get more citizens plugging in. Car customers will be able to get €3,000 in incentives for cars up to €35,000 in price, with extra funds available if they trade in a Euro 5 compliant ICE vehicle. There are also incentives for electric motorcycles. One of Opel's production facilities in Germany has got a new vehicle on its plant fire brigade fleet. Rather than use a full-size vehicle, the plant now uses a specially painted ROX-E runabout to carry out non-emergency duties at the factory. Things like checking fire extinguishers. A new survey of prospective and existing EV owners in the US suggests that 96% of customers want to have the option to spec their next electric car with wireless EV charging. The problem? The survey was commissioned by wireless specialists Wetricity. Michigan has celebrated the installation of the first of 15 EV charging stations due to be installed at lakeside sites throughout the state. The charging stations will mostly be supplied by Rivian as part of its open network of Rivian Waypoint chargers. They'll be free to use. Mercedes-Benz has officially priced the EQB for the North American market. With a starting price of $54,500, the wagon-inspired crossover will be quite a competitive product in the high-end marketplace. But then we still think the rear design is a bit meh. Tesla has been told by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration that it must respond to the agency's request for information over the increased number of complaints involving phantom braking of autopilot-enabled cars by June 20th. An investigation is ongoing. Chinese brand Zeekr, which has only been in existence as part of the Geely Group for the last year, has officially delivered its 20,000th electric car in the form of the Zeekr 001. It's built on a platform that will also underpin the upcoming smart SUV. The world's largest automotive battery supplier, Cattle, has announced it will be supplying BMW with cylindrical form factor lithium-ion batteries for use in BMW models. The deal will commence in 2025 and suggests BMW may be moving away from pouch cells. It's long been rumoured that Chinese automaker NIO is readying itself to establish a factory in North America, but NIO has yet to confirm anything of the sort. Reporting from China this week, though, suggests the company is already hiring people for manufacturing jobs in the US. Mercedes-Benz Trucks has announced it's continuing the testing program for future models by starting long-haul fleet testing of its upcoming E-Actros long-haul semi, a truck with a range of 500 kilometres, 311 miles per charge. For many fans of the Volkswagen Beetle, the Ora Cat EV from Great Wall Motor has long been a forbidden fruit, at least if you live outside of Europe. Looking a little like the reborn Beetle from the turn of the century, the Ora Cat is now confirmed to go on sale this autumn in the UK with a first edition Funky Cat model. And those are your shorts. There will be more next week. If you watch this channel, you know that I love being on two wheels, and one of my favourite types of motorcycle to ride is a dual sport adventure. There's something about being in the saddle of a go-anywhere dual sport that just can't be matched by another bike type. But in the electric motorcycle world, the closest we've got to a dual sport thus far is a 0DS, a great motorcycle, but one which isn't really built for long-distance rides thanks to its limited onboard charging and no DC quick charge. So this week, when Italian motorcycle company Energica announced its first tourer, the Energica Experian, my long QT heart skipped a beat. And no, it wasn't the long QT. With a more upright position than other bikes from the stable, this motorcycle isn't quite a dual sport and is meant for long-distance road travel rather than long-way rounding it. But with space for luggage and DC quick charging capabilities as standard, its 130-mile, 209-kilometre highway range is certainly enough to get away from it all a bit. And yes, we've asked for a ride. I expect Kate and I will fight that one out to see who gets to ride first. And finally, Star Wars has long partnered with automakers to advertise its vehicles, allowing automakers the chance to benefit from the cultural phenomenon that is Star Wars. And hey, I've been part of that too, indirectly at least, being chosen to cosplay as a Jedi as a guest of Nissan at a special preview of The Last Jedi a few years ago. But this week, a different automaker got in on the EV and Star Wars act. Volkswagen. It's just launched a new ad campaign combining the latest Star Wars show, Obi Wan Kenobi, with a promotion for its Volkswagen ID Buzz electric minivan. Fellow Guildhall School of Music and Drama alum Ewan McGregor makes an appearance, as does 3PO and R2-D2. Given that Volkswagen used to advertise some of its vehicles pre-Dieselgate with a child cosplaying as Lord Vader, it is good to see the company move to the light side of the Force. Frankly, it's spent way too long as a Sith. And on that note, we are done for the day. Before I go, a huge thank you to the Electric Vehicle Association for sponsoring today's show. They have been advocating for electric vehicles since 1967 and firmly believe that our future depends on us making the switch to clean green electric cars today. The EVA can help you find someone near to you that can help you make the switch to electric. It can help you become an EV educator, and it can point you in the direction of monthly meetups for like-minded EV fans. And if you become a member, you'll gain access to a new clean energy and EV loan program set up between the EVA and the Colorado Clean Energy Credit Union. You can find out more by heading to electricauto.org. Don't forget to hit subscribe and the bell for this channel and our second channel, Transport Evolved Take 2. And if you're not already a channel member or a Patreon supporter, please consider becoming one. Alternatively, you can send us a tip through Ko-fi, or you can check out our cool swag store and buy a t-shirt like this, especially the new ones which have just launched this week. And if you like what you saw today, why not consider adding a super thanks to your comment? It's super easy to do so, and it all helps the channel grow. I'll be back next week with more content, but there will be awesome content throughout the week for you also to enjoy. Until then, enjoy the rest of your weekend, and as always, keep evolving!